Alright, are we ready? Are we good to go? Feeling good today. I'm feeling good today. Hi there everyone, and welcome back to Christina Does. Today I'm going to go ahead and introduce the March 30-day challenge that I have set for myself, and also sort of talk a little bit about wrapping up the 28 or 30-ish days of dating that I did in February. So February, obviously, like I just said, wrapped up the 30-ish days of dating challenge that I set for myself and for my husband, and it was a lot of fun. I'd have to say the challenge that had the most unanimous sort of response from everyone that I know, including like my parents who watch this, hey mom, is the thrift store ugly challenge. That particular one got like an overwhelming response, positive response for everyone I know. Everyone saying like, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun, I can't wait to try that out. And we had a blast doing it, so I would definitely recommend checking out that video. I'm gonna see if I can do something fancy with this area over here. Yeah, check out that video when you can, and the other videos relating to the 30-ish days of dating challenge. Not gonna lie to you guys, it was a lot of fun being able to try to come up with unique ways to sort of date my husband for the month of February. But sometimes it got a little bit expensive if you go for like a traditional dating route on like multiple days of the week, which we definitely tried to do. And I didn't film any of that because that was kind of like the week after my grandfather passed away, so I just wasn't really in the mood of sort of capturing that feeling in a video or anything like that. So, but take my word on it, the free date ideas that I posted and the free gift ideas were a lot of fun, not only being able to make them, but also giving them to my husband, and just the act of gift giving can be super fun too. So I hope you guys enjoyed those, and let's move on to March, because March I'm super excited about. March marks, wow, try saying that 5 times fast. March marks the 30-day beauty challenge that I'm going to set for myself for the month, and week 1, I'm actually going to be DIYing a bunch, well, 3 different beauty regimens or like body DIY things for the skin to, I guess, help motivate me, maybe try something new, because I kind of use the same thing every day, which is soap. And that's pretty much all I do to my body. I just use soap, which is not, you know, like as far as hygiene practices go, it's not a bad choice. But I know that your skin is the largest organ in your body. You should treat it with a little respect because it is the barrier between you and pretty much everything in the world around you and stuff. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time during the month of March to sort of focus on my skin and seeing if I can find some DIY regimens to sort of fit into my normal routine easily and cost effectively if possible. And if not, and I really like it, well, we'll just spend $1 billion on stuff. So for week 1, like I mentioned, I will be making 3 different beauty products explicitly for my body. I will be doing face in a separate video. I will be making a coffee sugar scrub for the first thing, which I'm really excited about. The next, I will be making a... Wait, hold on. What was I gonna make? The second thing that I will be DIYing for the body is soap, which really only has 2 ingredients, and I'm pretty excited to try that out because I've always wanted to make my own soap. So if it's super easy and super cheap, then I am all about that life. All about that life. And last but not least, the third thing that I will be making for this week is, a DIY lotion bar, because I can't really find any lotion DIY recipes online, or ones that don't like have a laundry list of ingredients. But this lotion bar is pretty cool because when you travel, and we kind of do that pretty often, it's so much easier to store than say like a whole bottle of lotion in your travel thing, and you don't have to worry about it if you fly. So really excited for all of these DIYs, and I hope they will work out. So let's go ahead and get all the ingredients together and go ahead and make these and test these out and see whether or not they are skin approved. What? Okay, yeah, I guess skin. Let's go do the thing. Let's go do the thing. Okay, in order to make this coffee scrub recipe, you need a total of 3 ingredients, which is pretty awesome, and most people should have this at home already. I know I do, so that was a really big plus in making this recipe. So I used a 1/4 cup coffee grinds left over from making coffee, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, coarse brown sugar, and then I used 1/8 cup of olive oil. And I'm just gonna mix all 3 of these together and test it out for you guys. Okay, so after mixing everything together, it kind of looks like a gross soup and less of like a sugar scrub base. And it actually, I think all of the, because I used pre-used coffee grounds as opposed to not used and dry coffee grounds, I'm pretty sure all of my sugar is melted. Well, maybe not. I mean, it feels still pretty good on the skin. And has been dissolved predominantly by the olive oil that I used. And because I used olive oil, it's got like a really distinct scent to it. But we're still gonna test it out and give it a shot. Okay, so in order to make this shea butter soap, the recipe that I found online really just calls for shea butter like this and whatever scent you want and calling it a day. So I found this at Michael's and I used about 1/4 of the container, so 8 blocks. So here's like, you know, really girl, right now? So I used about 8 blocks of this pre-molded, I guess, shea butter soap. And since the recipe that I found online used coconut as their scent, but I actually want to make a lavender and oatmeal sort of exfoliating and really calming, soothing scented soap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick this in a double boiler, but you can of course use a microwave. That's actually much easier than what the recipe calls for, but we don't have a microwave. So I'm just gonna stick this on a double boiler, and then once the soap, the shea butter, starts to melt down, I'm gonna add a couple drops of this lavender oil right here. And then once that is all sort of melded together, and then I pour it into my silicone mold right here. Before I pour it into the mold is when I'm gonna add the oatmeal, just to make sure that it doesn't get all weird and soggy and stuff. So let's see how it turns out. Okay, so as you guys can see, the shea butter soap thing bar deal has already melted. I added about 10 drops of essential lavender oil into the mix. And now I'm gonna add in the oatmeal. Sorry I didn't film the lavender, but here we go. Just for a quick mix. Hopefully this works and doesn't weird out on me. And then I'm just gonna quickly, before the oats get really gross, transfer it into the silicone mold. And let's see here how it turns out. Okay. 2. Can I get a third soap? Sweet. Awesome. And that looks about good. Okay, so I'm gonna set these aside, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make the lotion bar and the remaining 3 molds available, and then put it aside to chill, and then test them out. Okay, so in order to make these lotion bars, I found a recipe online, and it's pretty simple. It involves a quarter cup of shea butter, like actual shea butter. So I bought this bad boy from my local health food store. It takes a quarter cup coconut oil and then a quarter cup beeswax, which I couldn't find the pellets. So these are 100% beeswax candles. So what I'm going to do is, and they're already pre-scented, which is nice. So I'm just going to take them out of the little metal container, measure out roughly a quarter cup's worth, and melt it down along with the other ingredients and see if I can put it in my silicone mold and make a lotion bar. Okay, so I've got the candles, the beeswax candles, out of their little metal casings, and since I have to remove the wicks first, I'm gonna go ahead and drop them in my double boiler so the beeswax itself melts off from the wick and I can just pull the wicks out a lot easier. Okay, now that the beeswax is sufficiently melted, I'm gonna go ahead and add a quarter cup of coconut oil, as delicately as possible. And then I'm also gonna add my quarter cup of shea butter, pure shea butter, and let that melt down before I pour it into my silicone mold. Alright, so the shea butter and coconut butter have all melted down with the beeswax in the double boiler, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the molds very carefully because I do not want to burn myself. And let's see how many lotion bars we make. Okay, 1, 2, can I get number 3 out of this? Okay, awesome. Hopefully because this has coconut oil in it, this will harden pretty quickly, but once these are all hardened and ready to go, we will go ahead and test them out. Okay, and here comes the final test. So I actually made a different coffee scrub. So this time I used dry coffee grounds, and instead of using olive oil, I ended up using coconut oil, which you can see I totally didn't mix that chunk in. Oops! But this is kind of the consistency that I was really looking for, like a really chunky, sort of gritty exfoliator. And I'm going to test this out on my arms and see if I like it better. Plus, since I use coconut oil, it's not going to have that really distinct olive oil smell to it, which definitely happened after I used this the first time. So let's give this the old college try. Ooh, I can already tell that this is way more gritty and a little bit rougher on the skin, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because that's kind of the whole point. But let's go ahead and do both arms for good measure. Holy! Definitely recommend doing this in the shower or over your sink, because it's gonna get messy, y'all. Alright, so let's wash this off. My skin's still a little sticky. Well, not sticky, but just like oily from the actual coconut oil being on there. And you can see there's still some coffee grinds stuck to me and stuff like that, but my skin feels really nice and smooth, which is pretty awesome. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm actually going to try out not the lotion bar. Hold on. Now I'm going to try out the soap. Okay, let's do this. Alright, so now that I have thoroughly exfoliated my skin and it's all red, I'm going to go ahead and wash the residual coffee grinds off with my new bar of lavender oatmeal soap. Let's give it a shot. See how well it actually comes off on a washcloth. Okay, so the soap itself gets pretty lathery and stuff, so I'm going to use the washcloth on my left arm. Oh man, that lavender smells so good. Yeah, it smells great. Feels really nice. And And now I'm just going to use the bar on my right hand because I have all the abrasiveness from the oatmeal. And it looks like it didn't get all weird and gross and goopy on me. I can get a... You want to zoom in there? Yeah. So it didn't get all weird and gross and goopy. The oatmeal actually stayed intact, which is great because it can act as an additional exfoliant if I didn't want to use a washcloth. And it's actually pretty gentle. I'm kind of loving this. Oh yeah. Because this has shea butter in it, it's still really soft on the skin. Okay, so my skin feels moisturized yet clean, which is pretty cool because not a lot of soaps do that. Some soaps really dry out your skin. So, and maybe that's, you know, still residual from the coffee scrub. I don't really know at this point. I'm going to have to test it out some more. But let's do our third and final step, which is the lotion bar. And last but not least, here is the lotion bar, which is extremely soft and creamy. It almost feels like an actual butter, so like a body butter. And let's see if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, so if you see, like it just comes off so easily, which is great in the sense that I don't have to worry about it like really working it into the skin too well. But in terms of like storage and stuff, I am a little nervous, so I might just keep these bars and the remaining of this recipe in the fridge just for safekeeping, because I don't want it to like be on a hot day and have it melt all over my bathroom shelf or something, because that would be gross. One thing I want to point out too, because I did not use a scent in this, I actually used a beeswax scented candle. First of all, probably not a smart idea, because it may or may not be suitable for skin, so don't do that. Do not follow in my footsteps, because it might be stupid. Second of all, shea butter smells really gross. Like, this feels really awesome. Like, my skin feels very moisturized and stuff. Ugh, it has a really distinct odor to it. So if you can use a scent, an oil, essential oil or something like that, that is with obviously the appropriate carrier oils, etc. You can do a little research on that. But just make sure that if you use like actual raw shea butter from like Ghana or wherever, like I did, definitely use a scent to sort of mask the shea butteriness. But as far as feeling on the skin, it feels really, really nice. It does feel very creamy. Whether or not it's going to absorb into the skin in a quick fashion, like if you've got super dry skin, I would highly recommend making these lotion bars and then just holding on to them. But if you're just kind of like mildly dry, or you know, even if you have oily skin, this might not be the best one for you. Or I just kind of put a lot on because wow, my skin feels really soft, but it's also really covered in product right now, but it feels nice. So I mean, you know, it's a learning process. And now my hands are all shiny, so I gotta figure out how to turn off my camera. That's fun. That's fun. That's a fun little trick. Fun little trick that I can do.